So now you've had a feeling based upon a feeling. So now you can establish whether or not that the justification of your feelings warrants an action, which means now you're going to take an internal dialogue, an internal feeling, an internal reaction. Which there usually is a physical reaction. You're like, sometimes no, that's not necessarily. That's a case by case basis. Oh, okay. I guess in my case, yes. I usually maybe like something frustrates me, and I'll like put my hand on my head, or like clench my fists, or like be like, Yeah, for some people there I'm sure are physical manifestations of a frustration or an anger for sure. When we come to terms with our internal workings, we can have more respect for them, and then it's a lot less about action leading, thought and or feeling leading directly to action. Mm-hmm. Whereas like what you just did was justify, hey, when I feel angry, it makes me do grr. And I would actually disagree. I would say that the way that you've learned to put I'm frustrated out into the universe, the internal feeling of I'm frustrated or I'm angry for you've learned to put that out of yourself by going grr. I go grr, and then I look at you. I'm like grr, and you're like, now I'm angry at you. Yeah, or like grr, and I'm like, are you also frustrated at this thing? Sure. And then if they're also like grr, communication. Yes. Like this is how I communicate that I'm angry or frustrated. So you're realigning your internal monologue, your internal feelings, with how you generate that out into the world, how you manifest it. Right? So you have a justified feeling that you've justified internally, right? And then now you have to decide, okay, so does this justified internal feeling, can I justify an action upon this? See? Yeah, am I making these calculations in the moment, or is this like a pre-decided thing? Sometimes you can in the moment. If you can be there in the moment and you can be that centered in the moment, there are moments in which I do have these internal dialogues with myself in the moment while they're happening. There are other times where I'm after the fact and I look back and I'm like, wait a minute, how could I handle this differently? This didn't end very well. It ended in a way that I'm not happy with. It ended unhealthily. And so I want to go ahead and sit down by myself with myself and think, hey, so if this is a situation that ended badly, what point in time do I think it ended badly? And try and do it without your feelings being really intertwined with it. Because this is a logical process. This is a logical process, and logic and feelings don't mix very well. They can mix in certain increments to a certain amount. However, oftentimes, once you've had some logic, then you have some feelings. Or once you have some feelings, then you have some logic. Or that's generally they don't really mix too much. They may mix in the area in which one transfers into the other. So right now what we're talking about is what we're doing is being logical about feelings, which is why it's difficult to interpret. So I can appreciate that you want clarification. Yeah, that makes sense. Though I see at least legs in your argument. Let's continue moving through this topic. So we have the justified feeling, then we have the point where we're like, okay, so now we have can we justify an action? So we walk up, we see the dishes aren't done, we're frustrated, we're like, internally we're like, but they said they'd do the dishes today and the dishes aren't done. So now you've just justified the fact that you're frustrated to yourself, and now you've graduated to being kind of angry about this. So now in the moment you have a choice. Either you're going to continue that angriness and allow that angriness to then fuel your next action without any further logical deduction, or you're going to recognize, hey, I'm angry right now, and when I'm angry, I personally am now going to attempt to be logical about this. And then I'm going to think, wait a minute. In a logical progression, I say, can I assume ignorance instead of malice? Which then makes you think, okay, Well, maybe they forgot, or maybe they're not home from work yet, or maybe there was some kind of a thing. You know what? Instead of being angry right now, I think I might just like ask them. I might text them. I might walk into the next room if they're in the area. I can be like, hey, and now that I'm not angry because I'm thinking logically, it allows me to back away from that angriness or that frustratedness, because now you're dealing with something logic and feelings don't mix very well. So the more logical you can move in that moment, the less angry or frustrated you become. See?
But really what I would do is just do the dishes. If I like notice, I would just do them. I'd be like, specifically because it's a thing that needed to be done and isn't done yet.